Hi, it's Bob Piorun, and Spud is back there, all excited to be doing another video. Probably the thing over the years that I've been teaching and they get the most questions on is the subject of modes. I just recently watched some videos, and I can understand why people today are confused. I got confused after watching some of them, and I know about the modes. The thing about modes is they're a lot simpler than they seem. People write whole books about them. You're going to see long drawn out videos. Here's all they are. You take any major scale. Let's take a C scale. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. We could number those notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 8, of course, is always the same as 1. If I play a C scale and I focus on some other note beside the C, that's a mode. Very simple. For example, if somebody said they were playing in the D Dorian mode, all they're doing is playing a C scale and they're hanging around the D a lot. They're using the D to come to rest more often. And that's what a mode is. It's just one of the aspects of any major scale. If we focus on the third note of a scale, in the case of C, if we focus on E, it's the Phrygian mode. And again, that word focus is important. What I mean is we use it as one of the strong notes upon which we start and stop, let's say, more often than not. So I'm going to demonstrate. You could go online. There's all kinds of backing tracks of modes. I'm going to take the Dorian mode, which is one of the big differences in why Santana, when he came on the scene, sounded different than other players. He wasn't just using the pentatonic minor blues scale. He was actually using a mode, and he focused on the Dorian mode quite a bit. I'm sure it's still, I haven't listened to his latest albums, but I'm sure it's still a big part of his playing, as that was the sound he had, the Dorian mode. But basically, the D Dorian mode is a C scale upon which I focus on the D more than the C. Now, first of all, you should know all your major scales. If you don't, you want to learn them anyways. C scales are all over the guitar. There's 5 patterns you should learn. Here's one. Here's a 2-octave one here. You should definitely get all your major scales down. Here's another one here. These are all C scales. Here's one here. And on this guitar, that's probably as far as I want to go there. So we have 5 ways to play a C scale. But a C scale is just C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. That's all I'm going to use against this backing track, but the big difference is I'm not hanging around the C the most. I'm using the D more often, and that's what makes it the Dorian mode. A mode is just a major scale where we focus on some other note other than the root note. So let me demonstrate. Here's a little backing track. It's kind of a D minor sound. As a matter of fact, if I were you, I'd also investigate trying different D minor sounds. So it's kind of a D minor sound. D bass note. So I'm going to play a C scale. That's a C scale. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. But instead of focusing on C, which is rather weak in this progression, I'm going to focus on D. Now what I mean by focus on, I'm going to start and stop more often on the D than the other notes. But I am literally just playing the notes of a C scale. just a side note, whenever you're using the Dorian mode, you can almost assuredly use the pentatonic minor. But right now I'm using a Dorian mode, which is just a C scale that I'm hanging around a D note. Now, every time we have a different backing track, and we're still going to use the C scale. For example, if I put on a G Mixolydian backing track, which you can find on YouTube, you're still going to just use a C scale. You're just going to hang around a G note. Now, you're going to get a slightly different sound, mainly because the backing track will have a different sound. I'm going to pull up a G Mixolydian mode backing track, and I'll play at, now remember, I'm still playing on a C scale, but now I'm going to focus around G, but it's still a C scale. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, C scale. Except now I'm going to focus around the G note. And again, like I say to my students, if you're the lead guitar player in a band, you're still going to spend most of your time playing chords. So always make sure you can do some things with your chords too. That's kind of a G9th, G7th kind of sound. I would explore, in addition to jamming on the mode, some different ways to play that. Different G7s and G9s you can use across the guitar. So again, we have a C scale, but C is a rather weak note here. We want to focus on G. When we do, because we're playing a C scale, but we're focusing more on the G, it's called the G Mixolydian mode. And that's all there is to it. It's not nuclear physics. A mode is just a major scale where we focus on some other note other than the root. And by focus, I mean when we're soloing, use that as the main note on which we most often start and stop. Now, I know a lot of people are into finding all different fingerings for the modes, but I always liked Joe Pass, the great jazz guitar player. He had a great philosophy. And if you study some of his teaching videos, he says, I can't remember a lot of things, so I like to make it as simple as possible. I use the same thinking. You could find all different kinds of fingerings for your modes and work them out. For example, here's a nice fingering for the D Dorian mode. I just like to think of it as a C scale. I know my C scale across the guitar, so all I think when I'm playing on a mode that I'm on a C scale, and I just want to find a D to land on more often than not. So again, a very simple way to look at modes. You have all the resources on the internet to find backing tracks. Here's what you might do for yourself. Here is a page for my book, and you could make this yourself. My book is available for me if you want it, Bob Piorun. But here's a simple thing you could do. You make yourself a little chart like that. And all this is, these are major scales. C major scale, G major scale, D major scale. I've got all the sharp keys here and the flat keys there. And then above it, by the way, I didn't mention the Ionian mode. That's the major scale itself. Don't even worry about that. somebody says they're playing on the Ionian mode, they're just playing on the major scale anyway. So C Ionian mode is the C scale. But anyways, if you have this chart and you're still confused, this is going to help you. Someone says to play in this song, you need an E Phrygian mode. Well, you see that E Phrygian is just a C scale. If someone says you're playing on a D Lydian mode, you see that it's just an A scale that you focus on D. So there it is, right there. You write a little chart like this or buy my book, and there it is. The answers to all your mode problems. Pretty simple. It's not half as complicated as people make it. I would like some input on this. Hopefully people, especially who are confused about modes, maybe send me a email or something on Facebook or get in touch with me. I'd like to know if this explained this or you're still confused. If so, maybe I'll try to present this in a different way. But the main thing is it's a lot simpler than it seems to people. They've just made it very confusing. So, Bob Piorun, send me some input on my videos if you enjoy them. I'm always available for lessons. I may soon do something with FaceTime or Skype for private lessons for people around the country, some of my former students. But so let me know if you got some of this and you understand it. Thanks.